Now, Subi's Crosstrek goes right down the smokestack of the biggest trend in automotive right now, compact crossovers. They are stealing share from all kinds of more prosaic passenger cars, yet they have to have utility cred. And this guy would seem to have it all day long. It's compact on the outside, yet spacious on the inside, with a very configurable, usable rear cargo area. It's got all-wheel drive, but doesn't kill you with all-wheel driveness. You don't need to be a four-wheel drive wonk to get the most out of it. And unlike some Subarus that look too much like dad jeans, this has got a nice, crisp, urban flair.
Now, aside from this revised face, slightly freshened for the 16 model year, this car hasn't really changed since its inception. You know the look, and it's kind of this jaunty, compact, upright little thing with some nice sharp creases around it. Honestly, it's about the coolest looking thing in the Subaru lineup this side of a BRZ. Now, of course, if you've seen a Subaru TV commercial, you know what they do. They beat you over the head with two things. One, love. Okay, we'll leave that aside. The other one is superlative safety. And you know what? They've earned that one.
If you look at the IIHS safety ratings, the Crosstrek gets close to a perfect score and a virtual tie with the Mazda CX-3, which also earns a top safety pick badge. These are good little cars to be in when a big car veers your way.
I like that vault-like sound that Subaru doors make. They don't weigh a damn thing, but they sure sound good. Now, part of that really high safety rating I just talked about comes right up here. These are the dual stereo color cameras that make up one of the key components of the EyeSight system. What this camera system sees helps power really good adaptive cruise control, lane departure detection, as well as forward collision warning and braking. And not only is it one of the best systems in the business, it's really a good value, as we're going to learn in the pricing segment later. All around you, you've got very sharp displays, a really crisp, very well laid out instrument panel, nothing fancy except for that silly little MPG gauge that tells you pretty close to nothing. You've got very rapid touch response, which I really appreciate. When I'm on the road, I don't want to be fussing around looking down twice to see if it understood what I touched. Just do it. Subarus used to be known for very small, grainy, crunchy displays. This is a nice, spacious, very beautifully rendered map interface. You know, it still is automotive navigation.
Please say a command.
The voice command is usually frustrating, occasionally great. You're just going to want to use your phone on a windshield mount. Notice there is no Android Auto or CarPlay. There's a 2017 Impreza that has those, but not here in the Crosstrek yet. Starlink is going to bring you their telematics system. AHA, of course, brings together all kinds of different services from podcasts to Facebook updates to streaming radio. And up here is one that'll just about always be grayed out for most of you, MirrorLink, which is another technology to project your phone on this screen. It supports more phones now than it used to, but not my Nexus 6P and not any iPhone. And where I would normally give you a tour of the various drive controls in this car, there's not much to talk about. You have a steering wheel, two pedals, and a gear selector. There's no sport mode button, there's no economy mode button, there's no fiddly doohickeys for off-road terrain modes, there's no indication at all that this car is all-wheel drive. Subaru has admirable restraint for people who just want to get in a car and have it figure things out. Classic Subi story in here, a 2-liter flat 4, no turbo. Look how low and flat that guy is. I mean, this isn't even engine, this is just plastic intake. You gotta go another 6 inches to get to some metal. That's one of the nice things about the Boxer engine up front here, and the flatness of symmetrical all-wheel drive carries that theme on through the rest of the car as well. 148 horsepower and 145 foot-pounds of torque. This is pretty modest stuff, to be honest, and in this trim level, we can only get a continuously variable transmission. There is a 5-speed on other Crosstrek trims. Look at that oil filter. Does anybody make an oil filter easier to get to? I just want to change the oil just because it's there.
One of the first delightful things about this car you notice right away is really good ride quality, especially for something that doesn't weigh a whole lot and has high ground clearance, 8.7 inches or so, but it never feels tippy and nothing harsh or cheap about it. I like that. The next thing you notice about this car is, unfortunately, this transmission, this continuously variable transmission that is just too variable. There are better ones on the market, let's put it that way. This is like an early one. It feels like it's slippery and vague and revving up and down in only partial relationship to vehicle speed. It takes what is already a pretty modest engine and makes it feel modester. That's never good. And as I mentioned a minute ago, there are no controls or buttons or switches or anything for the all-wheel drive. It just kicks in when it needs to. Now, note there are two different versions of the all-wheel drive. In a manual transmission version, All it will do is bias power between the front and rear sets of wheels, so front to back, starting with a default of 50-50. In an automatic transmission car, or CVT like we have, it'll also do torque splitting, so front to back can also be varied by left and right to more intelligently put the torque where it belongs. So it is a better, more sophisticated powertrain overall, it's just that this transmission sucks.
Okay, now pricing our Crosstrek, this is the top of the line, the Limited. We're at about $26,000 delivered, one option. Package 23, they call it. A little under $3,000, but it's a good deal. A moonroof comes with that. Navigation is added to the 7-inch screen. 3-year updates to the map, by the way. Keyless access, push-button start, and that excellent EyeSight driver assist technology. So all in, we're pushing about $29,000 on this guy. But I'm not going to buy a Limited anyway because I can only get the CVT, and that's a deal breaker for me on this car. I'm going to go down one level to what they call the Premium. I can get that with a 5-speed, but I'm going to have to bring a handkerchief because I'm going to shed tears for the fact that I cannot get the EyeSight technology. But I'd rather have a car that I enjoy driving a little more than one that helps me drive. More cars driven CNET style. Standing by now at cnetoncars.com. Click on the road.